Greetings, CHS Pulse, and welcome to the 10th episode of The Pulse.
We have some great topics on tap this episode.
We're bringing it back. Let's hit the streets. All right, let's get into it. Today's segment is called Bookworms. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book is Of Mice and Men.
Hey, what's your favorite book?
7.
It's great. Charles, what's your favorite book?
I like To Kill a Mockingbird.
It's a horrible book. Wow, we sure have a lot of readers here at CHS. Let's go check out what Rachel's reading. There's Rachel!
Hey Caroline, I'm reading Harriet Beecher Stowe, Uncle Tom's Cabin, or Life Among the Lowly.
What's it about? Where'd you find it?
Found it in the Vortex. I don't know what it's about. I'm ditching it right after English class.
This is mine. Little does Rachel know, she's actually reading one of the most important books in history, one that could have even sparked the Civil War itself. This book isn't any normal book. This book actually sparked the Civil War.
Now you may be thinking, how did a few hundred pages start the war?
Now CHS, this is what the Pulse is all about, informing the student body. This title is called Uncle Tom's Cabin, and it was written by Harriet Beecher Stowe.
This book was an anti-slavery book written by a true American to save the country from danger.
William Huffman once said this laid the groundwork for the Civil War.
Now, as you can see, in the 1800s, America was at a very controversial state.
So many people had different views on slavery, and it's great to voice your opinion until it turns violent.
Stowe was one of the greater people who actually voiced her opinion through text.
This book spread fast around surrounding cities.
The people of the U.S. thought this book was extremely racist.
But how could a book be racist if it's about anti-slavery?
This book was created to stop slavery and stop violence, but ironically, it led to build up more racism, starting to the war.
This book helped further the cause of abolition. Even Abraham Lincoln recognized that this book was one of the events that led to the Civil War.
Stowe was appalled by the Fugitive Slave Act, which had passed as part of the Compromise of 1850. And in the novel, it was made clear that all Americans, not just those in the South, were thereby responsible for the evil institution of slavery. The writer voiced her strong opinion even though she knew people wouldn't agree with it.
In the South, some states thought it was legal to possess the copy of the book. In Southern newspapers, Stowe was regularly portrayed as a liar and a villain, and feelings about her book were no help. Doubt the hardens of feelings against the North.
After the election of Lincoln in 1860 on the Republican ticket, a number of Southern states seceded from the Union, and the secession crisis triggered the Civil War.
In years prior to Civil War, almost all sectional conflicts resolved around the slave issue.
People attempted to seek a compromise and avert a crisis between the North and the South. As part of the Compromise of 1850, the Fugitive Slave Act was amended, and the slave trade in Washington, D.C. was abolished.
The Compromise of 1850 was a combination of 5 bills. Number 1, California entered the Union as a free state.
Number 2, popular sovereignty was upheld in Mexico and Utah.
Number 3, Texas and New Mexico settled disputes around the border.
Number 4, Fugitive Slave Act became the Fugitive Slave Law.
And number 5, slave trade banned in Washington, D.C. and nation's capital.
All these things are seen as a big chance to lead into war. But why now is the time to start a conflict? Uncle Tom's Cabin was created to persuade people's ideas, but it turned into violence.
The time before the Civil War was very chaotic.
A new conflict arises every day.
Caroline, no! Caroline! Some people say there wasn't just one cause to the Civil War.
People say that there was so much conflict before the war that it built up and resulted in the war.
It's extremely hard to pinpoint the exact cause of the Civil War.
Since there was problems with slavery, land, racism, and politics, one may argue that there wasn't just one event that caused the Civil War. Many people strongly believe that this book sparked the Civil War.
Today we will be asking Mr. and Mrs. Savarese about what they think about Uncle Tom's Cabin.
And how it relates to the Civil War. Okay, Mom, what do you know about Uncle Tom's Cabin?
Well, it was about racism.
Oh. Personal opinion, what do you think sparked the Civil War?
Well, I feel the Civil War was sparked by black versus white people and slavery.
So basically, Uncle Tom's Cabin! Okay. Dad, what do you know about Uncle Tom's Cabin?
It's a cabin.
Correct, but do you know how it related to the Civil War?
Who's Uncle Tom?
In your personal opinion, what do you think sparked the Civil War? Farming. Wrong, but it's okay. Thanks for tuning in on this episode of the CHS Pulse. Wow, we searched.
American.
To what?
William Huff and what's
If it's about
But ironically, it led to more.
Okay, bye, Terry.
this book was nope.
In the South and some states, it was equal.
After we
As a free state.
popular the compromise. But it was before the war. Okay, Dad, what do you know about Uncle Tom's Cabin?
It's a cabin.